Hi there, this is Ansu from Ivytree Studio. I'm not really in my studio, I am in my living room because I had a little accident-y about, I think Friday would be 3 weeks back. I actually put on my flip-flops and tried to walk out my front door, and I was on my way to cut my husband's hair, which we always do outside. The cleanup is easier. And I had an ear infection the month prior, which I was struggling to get rid of, and I was turning my head and talking to him behind me while walking to take the step outside the front door. And I think it's that inner ear balance thing when you turn your head to the left, and if there's something wrong with your inner ear or whatever, I just blacked out for a second. I don't know what happened, but my gravity took over. I don't even remember slipping or anything. I didn't slip. I was just wham bam, thank you ma'am, on the floor on top of both of my ankles, and I'm a little bit top heavy, so I injured both, and I broke, luckily just one, not both. 7 years ago I broke my right leg, just above the ankle, and so I've been through the 6-week waiting and sitting and not moving around with it too much situation before, so I know it's going to take 6 weeks for the bone to heal. I can't put any weight on it, so everything is harder. Shooting videos is quite impossible. Today was the first time in I think 2.5 months that I was able to do the setup, because I have been making little lists for my sister and husband, and every time that they have a spare moment I send them upstairs, because I can't go upstairs because the stairs or the steps is much more like a ladder and less like stairs, so I can't go up there, and I have to go by memory where I put my stuff, and then I have to ask them as I need it. So my whole living room is now turned into a studio. I'm next to a lovely window with a view of the garden. It's a lovely rainy day, which is amazing because we've had amazing hot weather and heat waves, so it's been hard, and we've had to use the air conditioning, which is loud in my right ear, making it noisier in the living room, and it makes it hard to watch Christmas movies, Hallmark movies, and do other things. So I'm actually very happy with the weather at the moment. Nice and cool for a lady of in her 40s with hormones that go up and down. You girls know what that's like, right? And so what a lovely day, what wonderful weather. We've been blessed with rain, and I thought to make a little, try and shoot a little video for you guys about a little update I made to my tutorial on making the paper Dori travel notebook cover, which everybody loves to do. So this is just my way of doing it, and I love it, and I use my own company's paper, Ivytree Studio paper, to do it. So you won't be able to find Ivytree Studio paper in any shop because we don't sell to retailers at present, and so if you want it you can only get it from our online store, so please visit the store. I'll leave a link below. At present we're only doing printables, which makes it easy for everybody to have access to our pretty designs, which I am very in love with. I love Surita's designs. She's our main designer. I also dabble in the design, but I mainly organize the business, manage everything, plan everything, develop product, develop ideas. So at this point we have been enjoying the last year doing printables, doing printable collections, because we feel like we have to move with the times, and scrapbook paper can become very expensive to print and distribute, and finding a distributor, finding a printing company that works well with you, that can give you the high quality that you desire, there's great quality control and things like that, is really hard and very stressful. So I want to cut out all of that stress from my life, and we love the art part and the design, and we love playing with our stuff. So for me that's kind of my heart, is to bring the paper and the printables to the end user, directly as quickly as possible. So when we launch, it's instant. You can run to the shop and you can download it immediately. The PayFast and the PayPal payment system makes it an immediate download. You have access to your downloads for however long our shop lasts, which I hope is for a long time. And so just wanted to give you kind of an update what's going on with me, and then we'll delve into the video. So the video will show you a couple of things. So I've made some updates to my design. Sometimes I use a cover loop, other times I leave out the loop. I've lately added some pen loops. Sometimes I leave out the pen loop. I've started to add in some little embellishments on the cover. Most of the time I don't even bother with that. I like it as simple as possible. Because it's Christmas, I thought to just bling it up a little bit. I have some flower elements that was from an embellishment pack from a local company, and I just layered them on top, added a little eyelet there, and I've got a little flower in my loop in front, just added that in, and I made a little bow here that is easily taken off. So there's just a knot and it goes into that little loopy in there. So any of those book loops, you can just put that in there in the elastic, and it won't come off because your knot is nice and big. You can add little beads and other things to it. As I said, I like things as simple as possible. So I just wanted to introduce myself again. If this is the first time you've been in our channel or on our channel, I'm Ansu from Ivytree Studio. Surita is my sister and my other half, my best friend, and she's my partner, and she's our main designer. And most of the artwork that you see from Ivytree Studio is her thumbprint, and I just love it so much that I really created this business around her talent. And what I also love to do is just share my passion for paper with everybody. So if you want to know more about paper crafts, if you want to know about our printables and how to use printables and do any and every type of paper crafting there is, with quality designs, all you need to have is a home printer or access to a local print shop which will give you quality prints. You need to know that you need to print on acid-free white cardstock. About 160 GSM is the standard. You can go up to 200. I wouldn't really go to 240. It makes cutting a little bit hard on your hands, and most of the older girls struggle with arthritis and things like that, and we want to save our modalities and the things that we need to use for our crafting and our arts for a long time. So we need to be sensitive to think about things like the weight of paper and the cutting tools that we use, and being careful and having safety measures in place. So all of those things are the things that you will hear from me. I'm an educator, I'm a formal educator, and I've had about 20 years of formal teaching experience, and I love to share tips and tricks and the things that I do in terms of design and art. And so I hope that you visit our channel again. So we're going to delve a little bit deeper into how I make these paper dory covers. So the mid-dory is actually the original name for this. It's normally a leather cover, but making these little faux dories, as they call it, I don't really feel like it's faux anything except of the fact that there's foam inside, so it's a foam dory. And I like to play with words, so that's just something about me. And I love to make these, and I like to fill them up with all sorts of crafts and ideas and making lists and journaling out. I'm a journal girl, I'm a listing girl. I'm not really a planner girl because I don't really like to hold myself to strict schedules and things, because I'm a typical artist. I like the freedom. So making a list and planning from there, out of my list, develop my plans and my ideas. And so yeah, I'm not somebody that you can really put in a box, and neither is my sister. I think she's very much left brain, but very creative, structured artist, I would say, and I am too. So you'll always find that there's rhyme and reason to what we do, and I hope that you visit our website and our online store. At the moment our .co.za website is just offline a bit, but I have posted a link on Facebook to the Weebly site that you can find. It's the same website. We're just working with some technical things with our domain and moving things around a little bit, so nothing much will change on the website. It's just a question of some maintenance at the end of the year and so on, so it's offline for the moment, but we will go back to it as soon as possible, probably within the next week or so. And so there's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes at a design studio, and when you have like physical ailments and things, like I have had an accident, that puts a lot of pressure on how things happen. And despite all of that, we've just launched our Joyful Christmas collection, which is a little play on our Christmas at Home collection, but there's a lot of new stuff and updated coloring and things like that and new elements. So I hope that you girls go check it out. It's already available, and I'm going to design a little dory cover for you to download that matches the collection, and I hopefully will get to that today. So within this week you'll be able to download and make your own little dory, and I hope that you try it after watching the video tutorial. So enjoy, and let's go down to my table. Another video on how to make your own travel notebook cover, or a dory cover, and I've been making these for more than a year now, and I really enjoy the process very much, and I think it's something that is very popular currently worldwide. So I was thinking on just playing around again and making another cover for my Christmas experience, and I'm actually busy doing Christmas daily, and I made mini albums over the weekend, and so here is my album, and what I'm thinking of doing is just to take out the stress, the basic stress from all the pressure of the holidays and trying to keep up with your journaling and taking photos and having to print the photos and having to decorate the album and everything. It's a lot of work that goes into it. So I was thinking on just taking my time on the album and decorating it over the holidays as kind of a holiday activity, and then keeping up with the journaling daily. I've been just scribbling away in my my monthly travel journal. So I just want to show you this one. Today's video actually will be about the different ways you can make the paper travel journal cover, because this is actually made from pattern paper, and also how to set it up and play around with it. So the idea of having fun with the cover is also to change things out frequently and having fun with that, having fun with different covers every month. If you get bored with one, you can put it away and make another one. If you see a new pattern paper that you like, you can change it out. So I just want to mention that this process is really very inexpensive. Travel journals can go for hundreds of rands if you go for leather types and so on. So I feel like I wanted something that is affordable, that is accessible to me, that I can change around, because typical artist, I get bored easily with things, so I want the change out. And I have been using this one. I love dots a lot. I've been using it throughout November, and you can see I added old books that I have been wanting to finish in it, and my listing books are in here, my club books are in here for various clubs. I'm not really a big planner girl at present. I'm more of a lister, and my projects flow from my lists. And then I also put my memory keeping in here, things that I want to remember, and just general little lists and things. And if I just want to decorate something or doodle away or make some art. So the whole idea of this, it's for me, it's a creative expression, and it's in a portable form that it's mobile and I can take it with me. It's not too big. Right, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to keep up with my Christmas daily process, and so I have a little book in here that I want to actually decorate and start fresh in a Christmas travel notebook. So I'll be adding little books and probably transferring all my books from this cover to the new December one. And so I have a couple of days already done in this book. So I want to decorate this book and add it to my new cover. Right, so also what I wanted to do is just to show you that there's so many styles of doing this. I've been adding pen loops to mine, and you can add it as big as you want, as thin as you want, as slim as you want, as thick as you want. It's really up to you. You can add more than one pen loop if you want. And the whole idea, I have these little fun pens that I add because they're inexpensive, so if it gets lost or misplaced, it's not a big deal. But then I put it in here and just inside my dory, and I've got my pen with me wherever I go. So the idea is to actually have a pen in here. In the beginning I didn't really bother with pen loops because I used to definitely take my pens with me in my bag as well, and all other art products and so on. But lately I've been wanting my pen in my dory, so I've been adding pen loops. And the cover loops I've been adding in different ways. You can do them broader, you can do them longer up to the middle, you can do just a short one. The whole idea of this little loop is to add the foam at the back so that you can protect your cover from the elastic, because you will add the elastic and move it around, and the paper can get damaged in the end. But I'm not too bothered because it's a really inexpensive way of making a cover. So if it gets damaged a little and you're tired of it, you can just throw it out and just make a new one. So it's not that expensive that you'll feel bad if it does get damaged. Remember, it's paper, and paper doesn't take water, so if it gets wet and it gets damaged, just to make a new one. I also tried the brads or the eyelets up top here and here, but I found that it gets damaged as you add the books to it. So in future I won't add any brads, and I also don't feel like I really like it. It makes the cover really a little bit top heavy, a little bit I feel like the design doesn't need that. Adding it to the cover loop is fine. It adds a design element that I like, that I feel it works there, but adding it here to the holes, I just don't feel. You can see already the paper is bent there, and because of the elastic and because of the books moving about inside, it actually just it can tear. At the bottom end, it was already starting to tear. So what I like to do is just add the elastic, you can see there, and that's all you need. So it's a cleaner look, and that's what I like. So it's personal preference. You can also just leave out the eyelets. You don't need the eyelets, and there's other ways of decorating your loop here. And what I also do is sometimes I don't even add the loop, I just add the elastic, and that even leaves you with an even more cleaner look on your dory cover. Okay, so just about the different ways of designing this cover, with or without pen loops, one pen loop, two pen loops. What I actually do is I just add it in between the paper and the craft sheet. And with this side, I'll show you when I make the one that I'm going to make today. You actually don't add the craft sheet to the little bit that you're going to add here. You leave that off, otherwise it will make it too thick. You just want it as flat as possible. You can already see the foam is, if you can see there, the foam is lifting a little bit, so you'll need a strong tape to add that pen loop. There's also another way of adding pen loops. You can add the pen loops, make a folder and add the pen loops to your folder and insert that folder inside your travel notebook. That way you can add multiple pen loops. You can use it as a little storage space for extra paper cuts and things that you want, stickers that you want to carry with you. Okay, so what did we talk about? We talked about the different ways of making or designing your cover with a outside loop, a cover loop, without the loop, a loop with brads or eyelets, and pen loops, and different ways that you can add the pen loops. Okay. Now we're going to dig into decorating it. So there are different ways of decorating your outside cover. You can add little bows to it. You can add flowers to it. I'm going to add this flower. I added a little brad in the center there, so hopefully it will work when I put the elastic through it. So I'll play around with the idea today. There are different types of things that you can do on the outside cover. I've been making little elements with paper, covering it in the same way with the contact paper that we're going to do with the cover as well. And you can definitely play around with cutting up little rolled flowers with felt. I haven't tried that yet. I'm wanting to do it, so I'm just thinking up what designs and elements that I will be needing for that. And that's very popular at present as well. It makes a really nice fluffy look, or give a nice fluffy look to your outside cover. And because it's felt, it will last longer, I think, than anything else. And you can probably wash it by hand, and if it gets dirty or damaged, you can just wash it and add it to another project. Okay, so before I ramble on too much, the basic tools that I normally use are my piercing tool and a pair of scissors and a hole punch. This is, I'm not sure, I think it's about 2 millimeters. It's yeah, it's actually 3 by 3 millimeters hole punch, and just a tool to add the eyelets if you're going to add eyelets. Remember, the eyelets are extra, they're optional. You can leave them out and you'll still have a fun project at the end of the day. And then just a nice broad double-sided tape. Sometimes I use a thinner one as well for the sides, but I've been playing around with different ideas. I've updated my tutorial. You'll be able to download it from my store. There's some templates added, templates for the pen loop and templates for the cover loop as well. You'll find there, and 2 types of templates for the cover. So what I have here today, I just want to get everything. Okay, so my template, I basically made this template, but I designed it for you so you can print it out, and so you'll have your holes exactly at the top and the bottom. So this is for a dory that takes 6 books, so you'll have 6 strands of elastic going through, and in the middle 2 you'll have double loops, right, and that will give you place for 6 books, which I feel is kind of a lot for the dory. You can even, I would say, go up to 8 books if you want. The size that I use, that I make, is basically A4, just a little bit smaller than an A4, but you can go the full A4 size, or you can go a little bit smaller. The reason why I go a little bit smaller is because the craft sheet is not exactly A4 if you get it in A4 size. You can also buy A3, and then you can play around and you can go larger or smaller, and any size that you want. So the sizing doesn't really matter. It's up to you. It's up to you what size books you want. Start with deciding what size book you want. Make a demo book so that you can see if it will fit into your dory. Leave a little space at the top and at the bottom for if you want to add tabs or flags or things to your books, just to protect your books. So remember, the main feature of the cover is to protect the books, okay, and hold them together. All right. So this is actually an A4 sheet, so it's a little bit bigger than what I've trimmed down here. So I have a little bit less than about, I would say, a centimeter or so. There's about 5 millimeters at the top and 5 at the bottom that I trimmed off, so it's a little bit smaller because the printed books in our store fits into an A4 like this, so there'll always be a little frame that you need to trim off. Depends on yourself if you want to leave that frame, cover it with washi or more paper. I like the little bit smaller books, and I like to trim it off, so it's a personal preference. It depends on yourself. Alright, and all you need to do then with the template is just to have the holes exactly this at the across from each other, bottom and top. So I leave a little space at the top so that the elastic isn't right at the edge, because the main reason I would say is just so that your elastic doesn't tear through the side. So you give enough space there so that your elastic stays in place and your book stays in place. Remember, the elastic, the book may be higher than this, but the elastic will stretch over and keep your books in place. But then your dory cover won't tear at the top or at the bottom, because if your holes are too close to the edge, you can have that danger. All right, then as well, what we also want to do is we want the outside elastic loop go through. So you have two places that you can put it. You can put it to the side, which I find is really handy, because you can use your tool for that, your punch, and then you can just go in and punch it in the middle, and you can add your elastic there, and it goes across the front, and that's fine. It just makes adding the little loop, cover loop that you want to add, you can't go too long with it, so you'll probably be able to add your loop up to there, I would say, about there, because remember your hole would be here and not at the edge, so you don't have the space here. All right, but you can do it there. I do it frequently. It's quick, it's easy, and I normally do use the hole here for when I don't add a cover loop and I just use the elastic. Right, so that's another option. So I'm giving you a lot of different options today. Then you can have the hole in the middle, and it's just the same concept. You'll loop your elastic and just push it through, and I'll show you in a minute what we're going to do with that. Okay, so let's get down to business. The first thing that I normally do is I trim my size of pattern paper that I want the dory to be, and then I use a corner punch. I've already done that, and then I corner my my paper cover with that, and then we're going to laminate it quickly. Just want to mention that I'm going to need 3 brads for my pen loop that I'm going to for the cover loop that I'm going to add today, so I'm just putting that aside. Don't want to lose that. And I've got some paper elements here. I wanted to add it to the cover, but I've been thinking that I like the fact that my covers are plain, because then I can use it for different things. If you add decorations or wording to the front, it limits you to the use of that dory, what you want, and it kind of, I think it makes it too busy, because your books inside are going to be very busy with all your art and everything in it. So I would suggest just keep the cover plain. We'll try a plain cover today and we'll see. All right, now I'm sitting with a broken ankle on my bed in my living room next to my window, and there's a lovely view of the garden, and it's been raining the whole day, so the lighting today for the video hopefully is perfect. It's not too bright and it's not too dark, hopefully, so I'm going to try and shoot this video as quickly as I can. All right, what I'm doing now is I found that just want to use my cutting mat underneath. So I'm just going to place that down, and I found using the cutting mat and doing the following, and this is a new tip. In my previous video, if you watched it, you'll see me using a roll of contact paper. So in South Africa we call this DC Fix. It's actually used to cover books mainly, I would say. There's different uses for it. It's a fun product that as a teacher, I've always used in my classroom. And over time, I've learned how not to make little mistakes with it. But it's trial and error. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm using the book covers. You get the DC Fix or the contact paper now in A3 sized book covers, because people reckon that it's easier if it's flat, and I'm so happy that I can find flat sheets now. I have seen it a while back, and I didn't realize that I can actually use it for my dory covers. So all I do is I use half a sheet, so it's half of that A3. It's approximately A3. It's a little bit larger than A4, I would say. So there's ample space, so you have your exact size that you need actually, and you get a lot from a pack. I think there's about 10 sheets in there, so you can make 20 dories with that. So what I do is I open up a centimeter, then I put that down at the top of my cutting mat and I place it down. Right, you'll see that, and this is kind of a fun part, this is the little piece that I've folded over, and there's a little gap there. All right, but now you have to just focus. You must make sure that your paper is facing the side that you want to cover is facing upwards. If you do it the other way around, that doesn't help. All right, so all you do is you get the middle there, place it against the middle, all right, and flip that over. Okay, so what I do now is I get my ruler out, my metal ruler. Just ensure you've got enough space to the sides to push it through. All right, and then I put my hand in there and I grab hold of that little piece of folded backing sheet, and then I start to go in. Okay, and then just push flat because you don't want any bubbles there, and as you go, it's like a laminator. Just keep your hand still, just hold the paper. I'm not pulling at anything, I'm pushing with my right hand, pushing down, making sure it's even all the way and it's totally flat, there's no bubbles there, and I just hold on. See, there's the backing paper already finished, and I'm nearly all the way, and you'll see there's just enough space left. All right, it's off camera. I'm just going to tear it off so that I can flip it over, and it's actually adhered to my craft mat now, which is fine. Right, and then you just lift that up and you've got a perfectly laminated piece of paper. But you'll see that you'll have a little extra space here, and we're going to trim off, and you can use this for your cover loop and your pen loop as well. Hopefully there'll be enough. So you just need about a centimeter so to fold over. So we're going to trim that off. Keep your cover or your backing cover handy with the smooth side upwards. We're going to place the extra contact paper we're trimming off onto it to save it for later. Alright, so these are my handy tips. I'm just basically sharing with you what I normally do, and hopefully that will help you. So this is a class, and I don't want you to go and pay for classes to make this thing. It's so easy. You can do it at home. You don't need any help. Just use the video and make sure you've got all the materials, and I think you can probably make this for under 50 Rand, which is only a couple of dollars. So please don't go and overspend for fancy classes and things. Do pay for it if somebody has made one and you want to buy it from them from their shop. Then it's worth it because it's all their handmade effort and love that went into it. I feel like this is such an easy thing to make that doing a class and spending a lot of money on learning how to make something that's so easy is just a waste. That's why the video is for free and the advice is for free. Okay, there we go. Alright, there's a lot of girls that watched my previous videos, local girls, that's making loads of these for charity and for gifts. I've made a couple of Christmas gifts for family and spreading the love of this around, and that's great. Please do that. Okay, so what I do, I hope you can see here, I just go in and I cut away the corner, but I don't go all out. I'm going to do it slowly now to show you. I've been talking a lot. Right, so I go in this corner, all right, and then I go around and I cut that away, and then I go in again like that. All right, I hope you can see. Can you see? You just trimmed the corner away. That would make for a neat side there. Right, and just the last one. So as I make these, I find that you grow in the making of it. In the past, I suggested other things when you want to make your holes and you don't want to use or you don't want to damage your punch or make it sticky with tape and things. But I found a way to just streamline the process a little bit more. So all I'm doing now is I am folding over and I'm starting in the middle slowly. And what you need to do is you need to push down. So before you push down, make sure that you have it taut and that you have it smooth out from the side, so none of the contact paper will show up on the front side. I just want to show you. Can you see that smooth edge? That's what you want. All right, and you just go, I do the same sides, and it doesn't matter if there's a little bubble on this end or it overlaps a little bit, that's okay. It's the other side that we need to have smooth. So you can just smooth it out with your fingers. And here we go. Okay. And we're nearly done. And this is actually the hardest part, and I think I've gotten it down to an art form now that it's easy and it's really smooth. And I think this side I actually did not do it perfectly, and that happens sometimes, and that's okay. And so if you want to lift it up a little, and this is how you fix a mistake, just open it up and try again, because I don't want that plastic to show on the other end. So that was the only part I made a mistake, and that's okay. Mistakes happen. Just go on. The main thing is on this side you don't want to see it. All right, so this side should be perfect. The other side doesn't matter. You can smooth it out and flatten it as much as you can, and that's fine. All right, the next bit is to actually add your craft sheet. So what you would have noticed is that I didn't trim my craft sheet with my paper. I'm waiting for this step. So I'm going to add the double-sided tape next, and I'm going to finish that off, place it down so that there is space left, and then I'll trim that off with my scissors, because I found that that's kind of an easier way to do it. All right, so let's quickly do that. And you'll also see that I haven't added any holes either, which I did in the past, and I'll show you in a minute why. Right, so just go into the sides, and this is important just to have that tape as close to the edge as possible. And girls, my goodness, you don't have to be too perfect with these things. It doesn't have to be an exact science, right? It has to be quick and easy and fun, and give you a lot of joy when you're done. You're not going to notice all the imperfections in the end, and those little imperfections says I made this. All right. Okay, so you can see that I'm going over with the tape, but I'm going to trim it off in a minute. And I'm just pushing down. You get stronger tapes. I use a basic double-sided tape that I buy at my local craft shop. And because I use a lot of tape, I don't bother with fancy, expensive tapes. I use the cheapest one that I could find, as long as it adheres well and it doesn't lift after a while. I'm happy with that. All right, so what you can also do, if you don't want to trim things off, you can just fold it over. But if there's a lot of tape there, like here, there's a lot of tape, I'm going to trim it off a little, just a little, and then the rest you can fold it in. Okay. If if it's just a little corner, don't bother with your scissors. You just want that inside. Okay, all right. Don't touch your tape too much, it will take off the stickiness. Right, actually talking to myself there. All right, so I start with the sides. Okay, and then I go to do the middle. All right. I haven't done videos in a while, so I'm kind of rusty and struggling with this ankle, so I'm sitting in an awkward position on the bed, you won't believe. And I will make sure that I get a little bit more flexible over time with this position and getting things organized here. The funny bit is my studio is upstairs, and my steps upstairs are like kind of like a very the angle of the stairs are very steep, I would say, so it's more like a ladder to a certain respect. And it's fine if you're mobile, but if you've got a broken ankle, it's actually totally inaccessible for me to get into my studio at present. So it's affected my work life, it's affected my creativity and everything. And so if you could see my living room at present, I have a big stash of my studio in here. I have a little white trolley, a Raskok trolley, filled with all the essentials, and I've got bins filled with paper, and I've got my whole TV unit is full of my stamps and my stencils and punches and my dories and embellishments in little bins, and my goodness, so my whole studio has moved downstairs. Alright, so before I talk too much, you're only going to place this down now. So I only added 2 strips to the middle, and that's all you need. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it down like this, and I would say that's the easiest way to get it straight as possible. So you start on one edge, just want to move that up, start on one edge. Sometimes I place it down skew and I just trim it straight again. Right, so let's hope that that will be fine. Okay, perfect. And then all that we need here, actually, I've got a little extra bit that I trimmed off the corner, and I wondered where it went, and here it is. Okay, see, that sometimes happens. So one bit is underneath. Okay, right, everything is smooth, and now I'm going to trim the craft foam. So just trim that corner and the edges that shows a little bit, and it's actually just here a little bit askew. So they're trimming, when they trim the craft sheets aren't really perfect, you can see it here. Okay, just round that corner. Don't try and cut through the corners of the craft foam with your punch. Your punch is not made for craft foam. So just use your sharp pointy scissors, and there we go. And that's it. And we are nearly done, very nearly done. So you can see that this is a quick, fast process. It's not too difficult. Right, the next thing is just to add, I'm just grabbing my template, add the holes. And so we waited for this part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to center it and get it to the edge. Right, and I'll do the same on the other end. And what I do is I have little bull clips that I use just to keep it in place. So I'm just going to get it straight there, put it in place so it holds there, at least one side. Right, and then I'm just going to punch through, and this means that my holes are across from each other through the paper to the craft sheet. And I'm also not too bothered having it too straight, because after adding the elastic you won't see that. And it's just because I'm not too bothered. I'm more focused on the fun of it. I'm not too focused on the precision, but you can do it as precise as you want. If you use my template that I've updated now, the tutorial in my store, templates are available. You can just use those and they will give you precision enough. So today I'm not going to do the side hole here for the elastic. I'm going to go for the center one. So I'm just going to just place it down approximately in the middle, just basically as close as you can, just to find the center. You can measure it and just find the center and just push through with your piercing tool. That's the easiest way. You get other types of punches that you can use for this. I find that my piercing tool makes a nice enough hole, and there's an elastic going in there, so you're not going to see that either. And that's all you want actually, and your dory cover is finished, because all we're going to do now is we are going to add the elastic and perhaps a little decoration. Right, so when it comes to the elastic, it's really easy. I buy these packs that actually less expensive than when you buy big by the meter. So actually locally, I don't know, internationally. So it's an 1.8 millimeter hat elastic, and you need about 2 meters. So you can go. I've made 3 dories with one go, depending on how many loops you want. All right, so what I do is I decide on the front, because the paper is basically all sides same side. That would be my front side. Okay, so my front is here, and then I just place it down like this, and I measure from side to side, not from hole to hole, from side to side. You need a little room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can make extender bands as well, or extender loops that you can add to your books and add more stuff to it, and I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, all I do is I place my bull clip approximately where I'm going to end off, just to give me an idea of where to stop. All right, so then what I do is I go in to the first hole, to the front side, and then and this is the reason actually why I have the bull clip. Now I decide, do I want my knot to be in the middle, at the top, or at the bottom? Okay, so this is why you have the bull clip. I decide I want it at the bottom today. All right, I like having those little bits stick out at the bottom. All right, but that depends totally on yourself. Right, and then you just go from there and you loop it through, and these holes are just perfect. You don't need needles or anything. So easy. Remember to skip the first one. That's the only one you need to remember to skip, otherwise they won't be across from each other. They will be not in the right place. Okay, and then just from the back end, so we'll just do this quickly. And all I want you to remember here is just keep it flat. Don't stretch it too much. Just keep it taut, not too much. You just want it to lay flat, but you don't want too much. You don't want it to be too loose. Okay. Then the last one, go through here. This is the easy part, I would say. Just keep that a little bit taut there, and then this part here. All right, now you've got an extra bit, and that's for the extra loops. So if you just want that, you'll have only 4 books to add, but we want to go all the way, so it just goes in again from the back. And what I tend to do is I tend to use my piercing tool here just to get it in the hole. and then once it's in I can pull it through. Okay, and remember to make sure it lies flat. If you want to do, you can do this, then keep that one in place there. Right. You'll find your way of doing this as you keep on making these books or book covers. People tend to say it's a faux dory. There's nothing faux about it. It's a dory. It's a Midori cover. There's so many ways of making this. It can be made from leather. Let's think about the material you can make it with. Leather, fake leather. If you want to use fake leather, you can do that. You can use any upholstery material to make it. Then you probably won't need the craft sheet. Come on, go in there. Okay, so it just needs a little nudge. We're nearly done. And then you can make it with paper, and you can make it with acetate. You can laminate, use a laminator as well with the cover. You can just use material. You can paint your own covers and add Mod Podge to it or gel medium to cover it. I wouldn't suggest laminating it then, because you actually want the natural feel of the material. You just want to protect it a little bit. Okay, and that's it. So dories are a lot of fun, and I want you to think out of the box. Don't let people teach you there's only one way or there's only that way you can do it. There are so many ways of doing this. This is just the paper one, which is the least expensive, the quickest way of making it, I would say. That's just my opinion. All right, what I want to do is I just want to leave a little room for making the knot. And that's the point that you trim it off, and then just go in, and this is the way I make my knots. Okay, let's do that slowly. So I bring them together. Okay, and then make the knot and go in, and then it will move to the other side, and then I just pull it a little bit, make sure it's nice, and then I trim it off. Okay, so there's actually not going to show much in the end, and it's quite neat, I would say. That's it. And then we're needing the loop for the outside, and that's about 400 millimeters. So you can use your ruler to measure. I know it's the length of my 400 millimeter ruler, so it's about there. And then I trim it off. Okay, and now I want us to go over, before we put this, I want us to make our pen loops. Actually, I don't know if I want to add a pen loop. Let's say you forgot to do the pen loop, which I actually did now. You can definitely lift this off and just add a little tape there and put it in there. And I think that's what I will be doing. Okay, just want to get my table cleared off a little bit. I just lost my video there, so I was saying just go over and fold it. We're nearly done. Alright, and then all you do is just place it down on a piece of foam sheet. I try and use as little as possible, so I go up to the side. Alright, and just do the same with your pen loop. Actually, before we do that, you don't need as much foam. We're going to trim it off, so I'm just going to cut this away. Okay, I just took a little break and to download some videos so I can continue. and so you'll be seeing my laptop to the side here. It was quite a mission because I need to get up with using my crutch, get into the wheelchair, and then just half a meter further grab the laptop, bring it back to where I'm sitting, and then getting it set up here on the table because that's the only desk space I have here. All right, so that was a whole mission to get to this point. Right, so I used the time to just take a little break. That's the great thing about taping video, is you can stop it and do other things and come back. Okay, so we're busy with the outside loop. I've already finished it now with the foam on the back. Right, and what I do is I just eyeball it, but I do have a template now in my updated tutorial with exact holes, so you can just eyeball it a little. So I start with the first hole a ways in, you can see that about there, and then I just bring it down a bit and do another one. Alright, so you've got two. And I actually used my pattern paper from the Christmas at Home collection we did a while ago, and this is part of the edge of the 12 by 12 sheet with a little washi strip at the bottom, and I thought that that was a nice element to add, design element to add. Right, and then you just go eyeball it a little bit here, go in the middle again, and just give it another little hole there. Okay, about here. Okay, so there's different ways of doing this as well. You can have two holes on the both ends and one in the middle if you want. This is just to hold the elastic. When I first started making these, I actually added the elastic between the foam and the paper, but I found that not to be the best way. But play around with it, and maybe you'll find a way of doing this in a way that works for you. Alright, so I actually want my little flower to show off, and I want the stripes to show. So I have to think about this now first. So let's go slowly. I'm going in here, and I want the elastic on the inside, most of it, and then out this end, and then I have to add my flower. I think you can decide doing this a different way if you want. And in between the leaves I need to find the other hole and put it in there. Right, if you want to add brads, which we're going to do in a bit, then this is going to be different. You're going to add your brads first. So I don't know if I like it this way because it kind of messes up my petals. So I'm going to try something else. That's the normal way I do it, like this. Okay, so you just have that little bit left in the front. So because I'm adding a flower, I'm going to try it another way. I'm going to go in this end. I'm going to go in from the top and then out this end because I want the elastic on the front so that I can add an embellishment there. And then it can lie flat. Okie dokie. And so you'll have more elastic on the outside. I normally like my elastic on the inside, but it doesn't really matter. Some people will say, well, this is better. I want to show you that there are many ways of doing this. There's no right or wrong way. It's all about what's practical for you, what works for you, what is the elements that you want to add. And I feel this way now is going to work for my flower the best. Alright, so we've got that done. Put that aside. Then for the pen loop, and remember I forgot to add the pen loop. I like to make mistakes on camera because then I always teach my students, if you make a mistake, that's how you learn. So next time you'll remember not to make that mistake. So we're going to mess up our cover a little bit so that we can add our pen loop. But in future, when you make it, before you adhere your craft sheet to your paper cover, then you'll first insert the pen loop and then bring everything together. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. You basically need just to leave space, so the measurement of the template is already there for you, but I'm just going to eyeball it a little because I want basically just a little bit of my pen loop to, okay, so about there and there is what I need. Okay, so about there, I'm just going to trim it. So I'm just eyeballing it. I'm showing you this way because I want you to realize that it doesn't have to be such a perfect thing. Some people fret too much about the perfection and the details, and it's not really that big of a deal. Have fun, just enjoy it. Okay, so the idea is just to leave space so that you can add that, and I feel like I want to trim off a little bit more of it, and I want to trim it down a bit. Okay, so that's basically what you need to make your pen loop. Okay, and remember we used the offcuts for, or we left some offcuts on our from our cover, so I'm just going to adhere the pen loop to it, and I actually made a little mistake with my loop here because I forgot to cover it with plastic, and so now I'm going to mess it up. But you don't have to mess it up. You can just, instead of folding over, okay, so don't do what I'm doing. You're supposed to fold it over, and I can't do that now, and I'm going to have sticky stuff on my punch, but that's not a big problem because I'm going to add brads and they'll go through, so there's always a plan to be made. But in future you could just cover your loop with your contact paper. So you can see I haven't done this in a while on camera, so, and it's because I had that break in between. I forgot to cover my paper with contact paper, but it's not a big deal. See, it's done. Nobody's gonna know. Okay, you will know. Alright. So being perfect is not what this is about. Alright, so it's done, and remember I'm going to add those little eyelets to it. Not brads. I keep on saying brads because I'm thinking about sorry, the brads are those little button bits with two legs. This is an eyelet. It's just because I think in Afrikaans, and if I don't teach in English for a while, then I think in Afrikaans too much, which is my home language, but I'm actually very much fluent in both, hopefully. Maybe it's just me thinking that, but anyway. Okay. And the idea is just, I have another tool which is also used for this purpose. I just want to put that aside. So you can see typical crafter, everything lying around. Let's just be organized here. I have one of these little guys because the piercing tool can only go that far, and I need a little thicker hole, and I found this one to work perfectly, so you can see. Alright, just to enlarge the hole for me, and then I push it through. So it's not really a one hole punch like the size you would use for a normal double hole punch size. It's just in between, I would say, so that the brads can go through there. Actually, I had to do it the other way around. My little baby cat has found her ball, her seed ball, and she's playing with it, so I'm hearing the sound of it, and she's entertaining herself, which is always fun to see. Alright, just add your eyelet to it. And you actually don't have to add it through to the craft sheet. I normally just add it through to the side of the paper, but because I made a mistake to add the craft sheet, I'm going to push through literally up to the craft foam, so you'll see the ends of that, which is probably not a good idea, because if it's a little bit sharp, it may damage your cover, but there's a plan to be made for that as well. I think what I'm going to do, I'm first going to make my plan to solve my little issue. So it's all about troubleshooting, and I'm doing it definitely the long way around, because this should have been finished already, and because I made a mistake now, I have to troubleshoot it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off another piece of craft sheet just quickly. And I don't know about you, but despite the fact that I'm messing this up, I'm having fun making my dory. And it's all about making it yourself and having a bit of fun. Okay. And the thing is, when you make something and you learn some lessons while you're making mistakes, the next time you will remember, oh, I did that last time and it didn't work, or remember to do it this way. Right, so you can always cover it again with another piece, and I just want to make sure that I get the holes in the same place. I'm just going through the piercing tool, troubleshooting a little bit, just so I know where to punch. And then I'm going to punch through here, and I'm going to punch here and here, and hopefully it will fit over perfectly. Yep, and it's there. Okay, now I can do the brads. So you're just supposed to put this through the paper. Okay, so make a mental note, only the paper, not like me, but it doesn't really matter if you go a little thicker, that's okay. Alright, I'm not using that tool, I'm using my other tool, is easier. Okay, and just push it down, so easy. Okay, there's actually not very much there to give me an issue. I just want to check. Maybe I'm not even gonna, nope, there's no issue. I don't need this bit, I'm gonna leave it. Alright, okay, and I'm just cleaning up quickly. Right, so we're just going to quickly make the pen loop. I covered it with the contact paper, I added some double-sided tape. You're adding your craft foam sheet that's just a little bit smaller, so you have some open edges. Place it in the middle and just adhere those two sticky edges together, and you've got a pen loop. That's basically what you need, and now you can adhere it to your cover, which we're going to painstakingly try and do now. Okay, so this is my back side of my cover, and I'm just going to open up, something I don't recommend, so I'm showing you how I'm fixing my issue, and I'm not opening up too much of it, just that corner, just to add the pen loop. And I'm going to add a little bit of extra tape, because I opened it up. I want to have enough sticky tape there. again. I'll trim that off in a minute. Okay, placing that loopy down, and then I'm just adding the extra bit on top. And then just push down hard, because now you're adhering it back again. And something that happens now that I want you to notice is that on the other edge you won't have a perfect corner anymore, because now the craft sheet has moved because you've added in something. So you just need to trim it off again, and that's it. Okay, you can always add a brad here, not an eyelet. Well, you can add an eyelet in there as well if you want to, but now it has to go through a lot there. So I would just add perhaps a little brad in here, and just to make sure it stays in place there, and it gives you a little finish at the back, which is nice. So if you use white eyelets, then use a white brad at the back. If you go for gold, then go for gold here as well. So that's just an idea. You can always do stitching as well, but I wouldn't necessarily try that with the paper at this time. I haven't done it yet. I've been wanting to try it, just to stitch it perhaps with my sewing machine or by hand. So in the next video I'll probably show you my attempts at adding some stitching to this, which can make for a very nice handmade element to it, but it will take longer obviously in terms of labor, but I think that's it. And we're going to add our little flower element now, because all our elements are finished here, and we basically need to add the cover loop, and then we're done with our dory, and add some books to it. In the next video I'll show you definitely on how to decorate your books and so forth. Alright, so now I need to add my elastic through, and this is a tricky bit because you have a itty bitty little hole there. I can use my other tool that I just showed you, but it's going to be difficult and I don't want to mess up. So I'll show you my way of doing it, just using my tool. I first add in the one. Actually what I need to do is just open up that hole just a little bit. Just stretching the paper a little bit, not too much. I don't want to damage it. Okay, so there it goes. One should go through. And sometimes I find just trimming that edge makes for a cleaner. Okay, I'm going to try and do this off camera. Okay, I'm sitting too far from my table's edge, so my back is strained, and I just needed to bring it closer so that I could do that hole. All you need to do is just push it through with your piercing tool, and it will go through. It always does. Right, so what I do is you just want those two edges to be in the insides, and then you have to close it up, and now you have to measure, but you have to kind of hold on to those. So I hold on a little bit, so I have it in here. Okay, and then you go over. Alright, don't fold it flat. Okay, that's about it. So I think what I have there is fine. I can tie my knots. If you do the 200 millimeters, the 400 millimeters length, then it should be perfect, and you can just add it in and it would fit nicely and snugly. Right, so you can just do your little loopy there. I think it's about this much. I just want to check if I'm happy. So this is where you just fiddle with it a little bit, and if it's too loose, but I think it's fine, then you can just mess about a little bit, but I think that's fine. And our dory is finished and done, and I'm totally happy with how it ended off. And can you see, you won't even know that we made a little blooper here and didn't fold it over. Nobody's gonna know. You've added your double-sided tape. I can actually turn this around, and because I want those other strippies to show, let me just show you. That's what I wanted. Okay, so my flower is there. I want the flower to show off a little bit more. There we go. So that's it. So there's two ways to doing this. So you have your two holes here. You can have it the other way around. So you have an option. If you get tired of it this way, you can have it the other way. And you can just add a little white pen. I have my little zebra pen here, and just make sure that you measure your pen loop to the size of the pens that you're going to use. I normally make them a little bit wider. This one is a bit tighter, and then you can have it in the inside here, and your pen would be perfectly hidden and inside, because you're going to have all those lovely books adhered to your book or inserted into your book cover. Alright, oops, there goes the pen. See, this one is a bit too tight, but it's fine. At least you won't lose your pen. So I'm going to, just before I end off, just add my little books. And I think what I'll do is, in the next video, I'll do a cover for one of my books for my Christmas daily, and I'll transfer all my books and I'll show you the end result. So I'll take some pictures as well. I hope you enjoyed that. Make a lot of these, give them away, sell them, whatever you want to do with them. Enjoy them.